Hello, this is Professor Giametti. We're going to be talking here about lesson number 17, and I've broken this down into a few parts and included a few examples for you. Excuse me, a little congestion going on. Anyway, talking about capital budgeting, which identifies, evaluates, and implements a firm's investment opportunities. What we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we have so much money being invested, and we've got different projects that are mutually exclusive, independent projects. Okay, and we'll discuss what that means. We're going to decide which of those we should do. Okay, now, in a mutually exclusive project, it means that once you choose one, the other ones are done. They have nothing to do with that decision. And independent means that they're not in competition with one another. So that if you do one, then it's in competition with potentially doing another one. They're both mutually exclusive and independent. Okay. Now, when we talk about NPV, net present value, that means we have inflows that we are going to calculate the present value of. Okay. And then we have outflows that we want to calculate the present value of. And obviously you want the inflow present value number to be greater than the outflow present value number. The difference between those two is the net. You want that number to be on the positive side. You want to have more inflows than you want outflows. Okay. Present value of a capitalist project's cash flow minus its costs. Now, mission, objectives, goals and strategy, MOOGs we call it, okay, is a corporate planning tool that helps us in developing project plans that we think are going to fit well with the firm's objectives. All right. So we look at which projects we're going to take on. We try to determine what their cash inflows will be, okay, and what the initial cost will be as well. All right. We've probably heard of SWOT analysis before: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I'm not going to get into that too much. That's more of a business administration topic. Excuse me. And I do want to talk about the capital budgeting process, where we have 5 different stages. First, we try to identify the projects that are out there, which projects we may want to consider. And then there's the development stage. Then there's the selection stage. Which project are we actually going to do? Then we implement, and then we have a follow-up stage to make sure that our plan is going accordingly. Sometimes we'll see later that it might be a good idea just to abandon the project once you get going. That's an entirely possible option. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about IRR, internal rate of return. Okay. The rate of return that you're getting on your cash flows must be greater than the amount of capital costs to you. If it's not, you wouldn't do the project. Okay. So this internal rate of return that you're getting must be greater than your cost of capital. If it's not, obviously, again, don't do it. Right? It is the return that causes the net present value to be 0. Okay. So if you're getting exactly what your cost of capital is, then the internal rate of return is going to be the same. The amount you're trying to get in addition to that cost of capital is that internal rate of return. Let's do a problem to illustrate. Okay. Let's say you have a project that requires a $10,000 outlay and will bring you $3,200 for 4 years. Okay. The cost of capital to you is 7%. And the question is, should you do the project? So if you put this into your financial calculator, you've got 4 periods, 7% interest, your payments, $3,200, okay, positive number, that's what you're getting in, with a future value of nothing to this project. Once you put the money in, it's gone after 4 years. Okay. If you look at the present value of those future cash flows, you're going to come up with $10,839.08. So, should you do it? And the answer is yes, you should, because these inflows, the present value of these inflows, discounted at 7%, is greater than the initial cash outlay of $10,000. Or we could answer the question, what is the internal rate of return? Because the real issue is it going to be greater than our 7% cost of capital? Okay, so if we run this into our calculator, 4 periods, $10,000 is our initial cash outlay. We're bringing in $3,200 with zero future value. If you hit the I button, it will give you 10.66%. Because this is our internal rate of return, it's greater than 7%, we do it. Okay? Now, another way of looking at this, so there's 3 different ways. Is this greater than 10,000? Is this greater than 7%? Okay? Or we could say this. The present value of our inflows divided by the present value of our outflows. That was our initial cash outflow. If that fraction, if that number is greater than 1, we should do it. Because again, the present value of the inflows is greater than the present value of the outflows. We call this the profitability index. We're going to be discussing that in our very next topic here in part 2. That's it. Thank you very much.